You're listening to the Back Porch Talk podcast. Danny and Jason had many discussions and debates on the back porch while making pivotal investment moves with assets. That's right, with trading cards. They welcome you to the back porch and right into those discussions about current sports news with a fresh and unique twist. So come on and join us. Welcome to the Back Porch Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason.
Your co-host, Danny.
Fans, we got a special edition for you. Best stories of 2024. Before we get into it, Danny, I got to remind the fans here, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. You know how the algorithms do. We need those algorithms to work in our favor. So, Danny, our top 10 sports stories of 2024. You know, I always like going through these, man. And just as our promo at the start of our show indicates, we have a unique twist to things. And so, Danny, let's start off. We'll go from 10 down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, what's your favorite sports story of 2024?
Jason, I'm going to give that to the Celtics winning their 18th NBA title. It was the first title for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown as a combo. And this has been something they've been working towards for a while now. And the addition of Jrue Holiday, I think, helped that. That's my number 10 for 2024.
And my number 10, Danny, sports story of 2024 is that of these homes being burglarized.
Yeah.
Of the famous athletes. And there's a long list of homes that have been burglarized while they have actually been at the games, whether it's been home or away. Mm-hmm. Just to name a few stars: Bobby Portis, Mike Conley Jr., Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Joe Burrow, most recently, Luka. This is basically a movie that's happening right before our eyes. Hasn't gotten a whole lot of media attention, but I think it's something that it's a sports story in that people haven't gotten caught yet. Yeah, that's my number 10, Danny. Who's your number 9?
Number 9 is going to McLaren winning the Constructors' Cup this year. Led by Lando Norris. They came out of nowhere. McLaren's kind of been in there with F1, and them pulling that out at the end of the year, and the year Orlando Norris had with the 4 victories, I didn't see that coming. So I thought that was a top story with them taking down Red Bull.
My number 9 is the New York Liberty winning their first WNBA title. Long time coming. They've gone to the championship round a few times, but never won it. This year they have. So that is my number 9 story.
My number 8 story is Ohtani going 50-50 this year. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. It was something at the beginning of the season. We all know the drama he was going through with the money laundering and all the stuff, all the drama surrounding him and him not being able to pitch this year. He gave the Dodgers a boost, man, and had all eyes on him, and he actually got to 50-50 this year. So that is my number 8, Jason.
My number 8, Danny, and fans, we did not communicate our top 10 in advance, but we're on the same wavelength here. My number 8 is Shohei Ohtani's ex-interpreter pleading guilty to gambling. I think this was a huge thing with regards to just how Major League Baseball has done gambling in the past, how they continue to handle those who has any sniff or any gambling issues around them. And so by this Shohei Ohtani being a huge star, a global star, this gambling situation was huge. So I have to say that is my number 8, and that ties in greatly with what you just mentioned about his accomplishments for a year. Your number 7 story, Danny.
My number 7 goes to the UConn Huskies men's basketball team going back to back, winning the titles. and they're on their pathway to trying to do a three-peat. So that is a huge accomplishment. As we know, Jason, going through the NCAA tournament, you don't have a lot of time to prepare, and you're the targeted, and they've managed to win back-to-back titles under Danny Hurley. So we'll see if they go for number three.
And my number seven is that of Caitlin Clark, being that she obviously completed her collegiate career, high fashion, didn't win a title, got to the championship round, didn't win a title, then translates that over to the WNBA. But I think a lot of the controversy surrounding Caitlin Clark has got to do with whether it's Angel Reese at the collegiate level or just the additional shine that Caitlin Clark received because, I mean, she's Caitlin Clark. But also those players who currently are in the WNBA were in the WNBA before her, feeling some kind of way about Caitlin Clark getting the shine. They established the WNBA, and they probably want to get a little shine too. But I think it's more so about appropriately assigning responsibility, appropriately giving the flowers to the former WNBA players and current WNBA players for them making the league the way it is right now. Caitlin Clark enhances it. She didn't make the WNBA, so there was some heads being bumped there, and I think that was the number seven sports story of the year. Danny, you're number six.
Jason, going back to baseball, going to the Dodgers Yankees World Series. Major League Baseball fans to have the two powerhouses match up in the World Series and actually have a great series was for the ages, I think. All the stars with Judge, Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Soto, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
And for the way the Dodgers won it, I guess how the Yankees lost some of those games
Mm-hmm.
will also go down in history, especially that game five, inning five,
Oh,
error fest,
oh.
which cost them that game and ultimately the series. So my number six is the Dodgers and Yankees.
Ironically enough, Danny, that is my number six as well. I also mentioned Juan Soto getting this mega deal, mega contract. Freddie Freeman, becoming the MVP of that World Series, destroying the Yankees, a series for the ages. I just wish that would have been better played by the Yankees defensively to make it a little bit more competitive. But nonetheless, man, the Dodgers prevail. That also is my number six, Danny. Who's your number five?
Number five goes to the USA men's basketball team and women's basketball teams winning gold at the Paris Olympics. From the men's side, you remember that championship game where Steph Curry, he went off in that championship game. Durant went off and LeBron went off. The old veterans carried the team to gold. And it was a great game. And then on the women's side, they were challenged all the way into the
Mm-hmm.
end and ended up winning at the in the last minute to take gold there. So for them to take gold was a great accomplishment, and that is my number five, Jason.
My number five is that of the Olympics as well, but more specifically the U.S. track and field events. There were some amazing finishes. Not that of the men's 4x1 where they got disqualified. So that continues to be a thorn in the USA side
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to USA track and field. But the likes of Noah Lyles capturing the 100 meters, Gabby Thompson capturing the 200-meter gold, Quincy Hall 400-meter gold. I mean, Cole Hocker the 1500-meter. I mean, this was an amazing track and field meet. Man, there were just so many close finishes in this one. So that is my number five. Danny, your number four.
Number four goes to Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy under the Colorado Buffaloes and under Coach Prime. Just going from when he came out of high school, went to Jackson State, and all the hype behind him and him not going to a major D1 and going the HBCU route, and then following Coach Prime to Colorado, and him playing both sides of the ball. It was a great accomplishment, man, and I don't think that can be minimized based on all the stuff he's been through and just the work to put the work in. I think that's the number 4 story, and hoping him well in the pro ranks.
My number 4 story is amateurism or amateur sports at the collegiate level. I don't think it's amateur anymore. The NIL deals are just that, NIL deals. But also when it comes to now allowing those student athletes, and I would just say athletes at this juncture, to go into the transfer portal after completing community college or whatever the case may be, and not losing eligibility. That is major. That was this more so recently announced, but I think that is going to carry over to 2025. That's a major announcement because now I think the question is what's going to happen to high school student athletes who are seeking those scholarships, whatever the case may be. These programs can now just go into the portal and grab an older player, student athlete, and they have the grades or they have the body makeup, the maturity, the bone structure, if you will, the body mass, the strength to ultimately help out that team right now and not wait for later on. So I think we're still trying to figure all this out, but I think with this amateurism or now not losing eligibility, that is going to be critical moving forward. That's my number 4 story. Danny, what's your number 3?
Number 3 story is Simone Biles returning to Paris and winning a gold medal and all around, and just her comeback story, man. After what happened in the last Olympics and her bowing out, with dealing with some things, and for her to bounce back with a vengeance. And it was great to see, man, her smile and just, how she rolls, man. She's out there and doing business, and she came with it. So for her to go through what she went through and come back in the biggest stage under all the pressure and perform the way she did, that's my number 3.
Danny, this was a tough one, man. We're down to the last 3. This was a tough one. My number 3 sports story of 2024 is Netflix. The Tyson Jake Paul fight, but more importantly, not the actual fight, but the lead up to the fight, during the fight, and the aftermath of the fight. We're talking about the performance of Netflix. Yeah, the performance was spotty. The viewing experience was spotty. Buffering definitely was at the very top of the discussion point for Netflix. But it was really a test. It was a preparation for what we experienced on Christmas Day, where the NFL streamed games on Netflix. Not only that, not one game, but 2 games. Not only 2 games, but a Super Bowl halftime performance, like, if you will, being done by Beyonce. And so for that to go off without necessarily a hitch, without buffering, that speaks volumes to what Netflix is trying to do moving forward, or what the possibilities can be moving forward. Watch Netflix in 2025. I think there may be some sporting streaming opportunities Netflix is looking at. And I'll get into some more information or some more thoughts about that later on here. But that is my number 3 sports story, Danny. Who's your number 2?
My number 2 goes to the NCAA Women's Final Four and WNBA. And Jason, you hit on it with the whole Caitlin Clark angle. And Final Four, if you remember, Iowa played UConn, and where Iowa won in a thriller, taking out Paige Buchers and them, and then ended up playing South Carolina, who was undefeated, and South Carolina ended up winning. But From there, going into the WNBA, Caitlin Clark gets the number one pick by the Indiana Fever, which leads to more viewership, more attendance. It put eyes on the game on the WNBA stage and the college stage, but more WNBA where people that weren't really watching WNBA or not at all, they're actually watching and they see all these other players. So I know there was some salt and some shade happening, but at the same time, it gave an opportunity for exposure for the sport. And now look at these cities trying to get expansion teams and grow the
Mm-hmm.
league and bring in more money and revenue into the league because these arenas weren't selling out the way they did last year. So it's something where now they can take that and build upon it. And hopefully they, like we've talked about in the past, don't fumble the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you do take care of your business, and I think they're in the right path. So we'll see what happens next year. But that was my number two story.
Danny, my number two story is that of Formula One, in particular, Sir Lewis Hamilton moving on over to Ferrari. Sir Lewis Hamilton is a seven-time world champion, should be eight. He's won six with Mercedes, one with McLaren. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because the possibilities that he has with Ferrari over the past couple, well, probably 3 years now with Mercedes, his car just hasn't been as challenging or having the ability to compete for a world championship. He's trying to go for number 8. And in order to do that, it seems like he's going to have to bounce on over to a different team. Who better than Ferrari, where Ferrari has had the car to compete for a world championship? This needs another driver. This is going to be very interesting to see Sir Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari red, but more importantly, to see him compete. That is my number two sports story of 2024. Should we do a drum roll for number one, Danny? The number one sports story, who do you have?
My number one sports story, Jason, is the Kansas City Chiefs winning back-to-back Super Bowls this year. And one of the reasons was, if you remember last season, Jason, the Chiefs were not playing well at all. They got destroyed on Christmas Day by the Raiders, and everyone counted them out. And Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the crew went ahead and won the second Super Bowl, beating the 49ers 25-22 in a great game. And also around this, Jason, was the whole Taylor Swift angle and bringing extra viewership to NFL games based on her fan base. So all in all, man, winning back-to-back championships is tough. But in the NFL, I think it's one of the toughest feats to do. Chiefs are my number one story of 2024.
And my number one, and this hasn't been in the news as much, but I'm going to make it my number one because it goes to the heart. My number one sports story of 2024 is that of the HBCU coaching carousel. Let me just first start off with Coach Willie Simmons, who has moved on as running back coach from Duke University, is now the head coach at FIU in Miami. And this is all by way of FAMU, my alma mater. But more importantly, man, this has a lot to do with just the step up of coaches from the FCS level to FBS level. You have other coaches who also have done that. Most recently, even before Coach Simmons and immediately after. Mm-hmm. And so this is just a means or a way forward. These coaches that HBCUs, they can coach too. Mm-hmm. And they can coach at a high level. Look at Coach Prime at Colorado. Now you're about to see Coach Willie Simmons at FIU. But not only that, the reason why I say coaching carousel is because now you have none other than Mike Vick with Norfolk State as the head coach. Not only that, you now have Deshaun Jackson at the helm at Delaware State. And just recently announced you have Sam Shea, who won the 1992 national championship with Alabama, who is now the head coach at Alabama A&M. Something is happening. Something is brewing here. And this does not get enough shine. And I'm going to shine a light on it because just as I talked about Netflix and looking at streaming opportunities, oh, you best believe that the media contract deals at HBCUs and SWAC conference and the media conferences, they need to be taking a look at. The SWAC media deal is coming up. And you best believe now with the eyeballs that have been on the TV screens, whatever the case may be on other media platforms, those eyeballs are now critical in negotiating these new contract deals.
Yep.
These media deals are going to be huge for HBCUs. More money can go to the schools. More importantly, well, not more importantly, but importantly, they can go to the athletic departments. In which case, some athletic departments have been at a deficit. So these media contract deals are huge, not only for facilities, not only for your health programs, your feeding tables, whatever the case may be, nutrition tables. This is an opportunity that, i.e., Amazon, i.e., Netflix, Fox, you name it, ABC, CBS, ESPN, Disney, etc. These media deals are going to be critical. And now that you have these former NFL players at the helm at these universities, they now have the ability to even connect with their former employers, the owners of these organizations or franchises, to possibly help out the HBCU. So this could be a multiple streams of revenue coming into HBCUs. This changes the game. And so this doesn't get enough shine. I am so happy for Coach Willie Simmons. In my opinion, he should still be a FAMU coach, but things work out for the good.
Yep.
And I'm so happy that he's gotten a head coaching job at FIU. And I'm so anxious to see the game between Delaware State and Norfolk State. Did he start printing those 7 jerseys for Norfolk? That's another revenue stream, licensing, whatever the case may be. This changes the game. And so that is my number one sports story of 2024. And just as we mentioned that, Danny, what about some honorable mentions?
A couple honorable mentions, Jason, I had were LeBron and Bronny teaming up, where the Lakers picked Bronny, number 55, and LeBron and Bronny got to play in an actual NBA game, father-son. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, that fight on Netflix was another honorable mention. And then also, you mentioned this one too, was USA Track. They had a great Olympics, and you called out all the accomplishments. There are actually even more, but just for what they did and what they how they took care of business in Paris was fantastic.
And I'll just say my honorable mentions there. You mentioned Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. I also have Bron and Bronny taking the court together. I would say some tennis stars retiring. Nadal. I want to say Federer is retiring as well. These legends are, retiring from a sport that we watched. My last honorable mention, and I would say one of the biggest winners of 2024, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg won big time, man. You talking about whether it's through the contract deal with NBC, through the Olympics. He does, he's host of a game show. He also has his own Snoop Dogg bowl game that was just recently played. And then you have all of the deals that he's making on the side, whatever case may be, man. Snoop Dogg was a big winner, man. So I gotta give him credit, gotta give him kudos for really just going in 24 hard, man. Thank you for joining us at Back Porch Talk Podcast. You can also join us on Twitter by tweeting us at back_podcast. For more information, you can go to our website, which is backporchtalkpodcast.com. You can also email us at backporchtalkpodcast@gmail.com. Again, thank you for joining us, and remember that there's enough hate in the world, so go ahead and spread a little love.